Mu of Ares. Despite being a pacifist who would much rather repair the armor used by other saints than engage in direct combat, he's capable of moving at light speed, like all the god saints. He's also an extremely powerful psychic able to teleport himself and any object at will and use advanced telekinesis. With Crystal Wall, he's able to make a transparent shield made of psycho power that has been shown to be able to block anything from direct attacks to poison scent and send the attacks back at the opponents. This wall is nearly indestructible. He's also able to modify the structures of the wall, making it similar to a spider web and allowing him to use it to trap opponents. With his first offensive technique, Stardust Revolution, he uses stardust from galaxies and stars to attack opponents with the force of comets and meteors. Starlight Extinction, instead, is a teleportation-based offensive technique. Mu accumulates his cosmos, which is released in the form of multiple photon shocks, which hit the opponent across the body countless times, and then removes them from the battle by sending them away. He can also completely obliterate the opponent by sending him to another plane of existence. Aldebaran of Taurus. He is considered to have the most physical strength of all the Golden Saints. Aldebaran keeps his hands crossed during fights to accumulate his power with a technique similar to the katana quick draw called Iaijutsu. Despite the fact that he is in a seemingly relaxed pose, he can uncross his hands so quickly that the enemy doesn't even realize they were hit and just starts seeing damage on their body. However, the true meaning of him crossing his arms is his special technique, Great Horn, a technique that launches two waves of cosmos that pulverize his enemies or, if they're lucky, just rip them limb from limb. Saga slash Canon of Gemini. Considering this is the saint that holds the title of the strongest golden saint in the original series, you can be sure he has some of the most absurdly overpowered and interesting techniques, with a lot of them leaning toward less direct attack methods. Astral projection allows him to control his cloth, which are the armors they all wear, from a distance and teleport it at will. Sensory annihilation allows him to stop his opponent from having access to all of their senses. They go blind, deaf, and lose the ability to smell, taste, and feel, putting them in something similar to a vegetative state. Labyrinth of Twins creates illusions in the Gemini Temple that make it so that anyone Saga wishes to be affected by it walks aimlessly through the temple without being able to find the exit. The only ways shown to get around this illusion are to either be blind so you are unaffected by the optical illusions, or to break the caster's concentration. Demon Emperor Fist allows Saga to shoot out a beam of light that goes through the opponent's brain, allowing him to plant suggestions in their mind and manipulate their will. This attack is also able to damage the nervous system of the opponent, stunning them and leaving them vulnerable to attacks. Another dimension allows Saga to use his cosmos to open a hole in space-time and launch his opponents into this hole, trapping them in a place between space and time forever, or teleporting them to another place. His final, most powerful, and most direct attack is Galaxian Explosion. He concentrates all his cosmos in his hands and releases a shockwave that destroys anything in its path. The attack resembles planets and galaxies crashing into his enemy and has never been survived by anyone or anything. All these technique is also used by his twin brother, Kanon. Before continuing our journey, I would like to ask you if you liked the video to like and subscribe. As you can see, our channel is still small, and any help on your side will help us to keep producing content. DeathMask of Cancer. With a name like DeathMask, it's no surprise that he is considered the cruelest and most evil of the Golden Saints. His power revolves around his access to Yomotsu Hirasaka, the entrance to the world of the dead. He's able to teleport freely through this realm and his physical body. Sekishiki Mekai Ha, this is the only technique, has been shown to have two forms. In the first, DeathMask pulls souls towards a fixed point. Using the souls that are ambient in the area, he creates something similar to a black hole that pulls the enemy's soul from their body and sends it to Yomotsu Hirasaka. The second form of this attack charges up with ambient souls, concentrating his cosmos on the tip of his index finger. He then fires off a wave of spiritual energy that rips the soul out of his opponent on contact. Aiolia of Leo. Aiolia's techniques are quite a bit more straightforward than some of their other saints. Lightning Bolt shoots a capsule of energy that, while extremely destructive, the fact it travels in a straight line makes it rather easy to dodge. To work around this, Aiolia created Lightning Plasma, an attack that, at its strongest, fires off 100 million punches per second. Shaka of Virgo. Shaka is one of the most powerful gold saints and is considered as the reincarnation of Buddha, possessing the most potent cosmos amongst all the saints. By simply opening his eyes, he creates a shockwave of energy so powerful it is comparable to the energy released during the Big Bang. This ability is called Agyo, and it's not even technically an attack, just Shaka unlocking his full potential. By using Kan, he has the ability to rebound any damage meant for him onto his opponents. We saw this when he confronted by Seiya and the other Bronze Saints. Kan is a defensive technique that covers his body with a barrier powerful enough to take extremely powerful attacks simultaneously. With Tenma Kofuku Shaka, uses his extremely large cosmos to launch a huge direct attack that has the essence of the Buddhist lotus of death, and at its strongest, with his eyes open, it is as powerful as Galaxian Explosion of the Gemini Saint. Rikudo Rine sends the souls of Shaka's opponents to one of the Dorama's rebirth realms. It is a spiritual attack that is similar to the Rekishiki Mekai Ha of DeathMask. The realm the enemies are sent is different, but the concepts are quite similar. We can consider it a more powerful version, but I'm not quite sure about it. Let me know what you think about the two techniques in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more explaining content like this. Maybe we can dive deep on the Lost Canvas Saga next time. Write it in the comment. Tenku Haja Chimimorio allows Shaka to summon spirits to attack and devour his enemies. Shaka's most powerful technique is Tenbu Horin. He traps the opponent in a series of illusions as he strips them of each of their senses in 5 stages. He has even been shown to be capable of stripping someone of their 6th sense, which essentially stops them from being able to form thought and function in any real sense. It is curious to know that this technique is so powerful that can even destroy the armor of other saints, making this technique having a physical property. Dohko of Libra. Being one of the oldest characters in the story, we have seen very little of Dohko in actual combat. However, we do see his strength when he faces off against Shion during the Hades arc. The first of these techniques is Rozan Shoryu-ha. Using his intensified cosmos, Dohko strikes his opponent with a powerful upward blow that manifests the image of a great dragon. While this first technique is a normal level technique that he taught to Shiryu and is quite easy to learn, the signature move of Dohko is Rozan Hyakuryu-ha. By using an immense amount of cosmos, Dohko unleashes hundreds of dragons toward his enemy. Milo of Scorpio. Milo is a proud knight who sees great importance in pride and honor. Always very sure of himself, he's more impetuous than most of the other Golden Saints. His main technique is Scarlet Needle. He shoots his target with his index finger, creating a crimson ray. This technique is so deadly that upon striking it poisons the opponent, making him bleed and suffer in extreme pain. The whole technique consists in 14 strikes, each of them in a different part of the body that creates a Scorpius constellation picture. The main strength of this move is the speed. Milo can rush in so fast and so precise that it is impossible to block or divert, while it is possible to dodge if you are able to match the speed, of course. The last shot of this technique is called Antares. This final attack guarantees the death to the enemy if he has not yet died during the previous 14 hits. However, if you receive the 14 needles but not Antares, you can recover after a few days, if you're lucky. Aiolos of Sagittarius. While he was not alive for much of the original series, Aiolos is still one of the most powerful saints in the history of Saint Seiya, even being a candidate for the Grand Pope. The only technique Aiolos demonstrated in the main series is Atomic Thunderbolt. Aiolos concentrates his cosmos to the maximum in his fists. While his fist is charged with electrical energy, lightning appears behind him and then strikes in the direction of where his opponent is, releasing from his fist a multitude of balls of energy with electrical charge at the speed of light. This technique is very similar to the lightning plasma of his little brother, Aiolia, and the iconic move of Seiya, Pegasus Ryusei Ken. Shura of Capricorn. His bread and butter technique is Sacred Sword Excalibur. He's able to channel the power of Excalibur, a legendary sword given to him by Athena, into his arms and legs, releasing a sharp, quick blast of cosmos energy that can cut everything. He also has a variation of this attack called Double Excalibur, where he uses Excalibur in both his left and his right hand simultaneously in a manner similar to dual wielding a sword. Jumping Stones is a rather curious attack where Shura grabs opponents with his legs and flips, launching them into the air. Camus of Aquarius. Unlike most of the saints whose techniques revolve around moving atoms around at super speed and destroying them, Camus uses his cosmos energy to slow them down. This gives him a skill set heavily revolving around temperature and ice. The first of such techniques is his Diamond Dust. He slows down the motion of atoms in the air, forming small sharp ice crystals that he's able to propel with a strong, devastatingly cold wind. Coltso launches a ring of cold that stops the opponent from being able to move. Freezing Coffin is an ability that entombs the target in an indestructible block of ice that reaches absolute zero. Though this ability takes a while to freeze the enemy, making it unfit for combat, once frozen, even the Gold Saints couldn't destroy it. Finally, the ultimate attack is Aurora Execution. The user of this technique holds their hands above their heads, then points it at a target and unleashes their cosmos, resulting in a blast of cold, reaching absolute zero that is capable of destroying the armor of its targets and freezing their entire body. Aphrodite of Pisces. Aphrodite has the unique ability of being able to communicate with and control plants. He's even able to extract information from them. He's able to use this ability in a bunch of interesting ways. His three main techniques are Royal Demon Rose. Aphrodite launches red roses like projectiles. Anyone hit by the thorns of the roses or who smells their scent will be poisoned, lose all of their senses, and eventually die. He's able to use this ability to extract information directly from the nervous system of his targets. Piranha Rose is a technique that launches black roses at a target. These roses are capable of breaking anything they touch, even turning armor into dust upon contact. We can consider this the physical destructive version of the first technique. Bloody Rose, instead, is Aphrodite's final attack and most powerful move. He launches an undodgeable white rose that aims for the heart of his target and drains out all their blood, turning into a red rose in the process.